Oh, hi. So last night was my first proper night out in Birmingham. I'm not sure where we ended up, but we definitely started out at some metal bar doing some Jaeger bombs, which was, to say the least, memorable. I immediately got my dick sucked by dudes with massive fiery gauntlets on Harleys. Not in a gay way or anything like that, but like in a heavy metal bro, like, what's up, I'm gonna kick your ass. Blah. First up today, I'm meeting a real-life student. A heavy metal scholar who, as part of his studies in rockness, has devised a tour of all the key sites in Black Sabbath's early days. It's not open to the public or anything, but my man Rob has agreed to give me a little sneak preview. Hello.
Hi, Jesse. Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I'm Rob.
Where are we at?
We're at Franchise Street, Perry Bar, Birmingham. This is where they first met. Let's go to where Ozzy first rehearsed.
Let's do it.
The tour sort of came about when I realised that I lived quite close to a lot of the places where Black Sabbath grew up. This is where Ozzy Osbourne rehearsed, and stories of Ozzy turning up at rehearsal naked under his caftan with his arm in plaster, talking about a fight he'd been in at the Aston Hotel. We're on Lodge Road, which is where Ozzy Osbourne was born and brought up.
I'm gonna go have a private moment at the home of one of my greatest musical heroes of all time, Ozzy Osbourne. Whoa, that's so much rock. I'm good.
This is what I call the crossroads of heavy metal. There used to be a cinema there called the Globe Cinema. And of course, everybody knows the story about how Black Sabbath got their name. Black Sabbath were drawing in influences from wider popular culture. The Vietnam War, around the time they wrote War Pigs was around the time that Nixon went into Cambodia.
Right.
And sort of the story behind that is that Nixon wanted to end conscription, so to finish the war quickly, he sent troops into Cambodia, treating people just like pawns in chess.
So after seeing a couple more Sabbathinian landmarks, if you will, Rob took me to one of the band's old watering holes, where a genuine certified doctor of musicology awaited. A real, yes, I was a D&D nerd sort of dude when I was growing up, but now I'm a badass doctor, sort of doctor. So for real, get ready. This series we're doing is really about the roots of heavy metal, but oftentimes what gets talked about more is the cultural aspect, the fashion aspect. I want to talk about the musicology because I'm a Black Sabbath fanatic. I learned to play guitar using stimulating drugs and learning every Geezer Butler bass line I could possibly get my hands on. There's been a lot of talk, about Tony Iommi's accident.
Yeah.
That it shaped his guitar playing style.
Yeah. The accident, I believe, was a sheet metal accident where he lost the ends of the middle two fingers of his fretting hand. One of the immediate impacts of that came down to the fact that he wasn't able suddenly to play chords in the usual way.
Right.
Because he'd only got these two fingers, what he's done is he's taken out a whole chunk of the middle of the chord and came up with this sort of very bare sound. You add the distortion to it, then this is where you can sort of see the emergence of the power chord.
Right.
That's become associated with heavy metal. It's a very short step into, some of the classic Sabbath riffs.
As the 70s progressed, where did the term heavy metal come from? Where did that term get applied to Black Sabbath?
It's something that happened by evolution. Back in the 70s, Sabbath was just a heavy band.
Right.
I was a
heavy
teenage.
rock and roll, right?
They were heavy, man. It's a combination of certain elements. It's the power chord riffs combined with the down tuning, combined with specific musical intervals. The key intervals are what we might call the tritone.
Right.
Which is this one, and also a flat second, which is that one, which just fits so perfectly with, this new hammer horror image that they've adopted. So they're starting with this root note, and then an octave, and then And this tritone is also known as Diabolus in Musica, the devil in the music.
In that very same pub where I met the doctor of rock, my next appointment was with a proper road dog, a real man by the name of Graham Wright, who I believe spent many years on a tour bus with Black Sabbath on their most infamous and messy trips. After all that music theory, goddamn, I need some stories. You know what I'm saying, little babies and boys? Amen. I understand that you may have had some intimate relationships with Black Sabbath in terms of touring.
Well, I certainly did, yeah.
What were the years that you were involved with them?
Basically from mid-74 right through to the Heaven and Hell tour
Right.
in the early 80s. It was Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and then we went into Sabotage.
Right.
We toured America in 75, which was the Sabotage tour in Nashville. I remember it well. We were touring with Van Halen. Tony turned up, Geezer, and Bill turned up, and Ozzy didn't turn up. We'd set the stage, Van Halen had gone off. No, Ozzy, you know, oh, he's been kidnapped, you know, the police, and the show had to be cancelled. The audience wrecked the stage. And what he did was, he just went into the wrong room, went to bed, and slept in. A disaster, total disaster. I remember the humour of Sabbath was like brilliant. Because the thing about heavy metal was that we all came from working class backgrounds, and Birmingham in the late 60s and the early 70s was a grim place. You know, that's why the music came out.
Right.
And it's raining, it's horrible, and suddenly you fly off to do an American tour. You land in Los Angeles, it's sunshine, it's palm trees,
Right.
You've got the whiskey a go-go. It's like, I'm in paradise.
I've partied on tour and I've let drugs get the worst of me and the best of me. I mean, were there moments where things like that were taking a dark turn and
Yeah, they were always there,
Yeah.
wasn't it? It was the 70s,
Right.
and especially in America. I mean,
Absolutely.
it was thrown at people, you know, and it was a way of other people trying to get into the inner circle,
Right.
you know. Yeah, a bit of gack here, a bit of gack there, you know.
Oh, Lord. I would probably give my left testicle to go back in time and go on the road with those sweet boys in the 70s, but I got to keep moving, got to keep going on with my pilgrimage. And as my man Bill Ward told me, I need to venture out of Birmingham itself into the Black Country, and in particular, Stourbridge, home of one of the most influential and underrated British metal bands of all time, Diamond Head. Metal itself, in terms of English metal, isn't just limited to the Birmingham area. It's Outer Midlands, or the Black Country is what they call it, right?
I always think it started in Birmingham because
Right.
of Black Sabbath. But I suppose, yeah, it spread outwards after that.
Did Black Sabbath personally influence you in any way?
Totally, yeah. I think when we started, Black Sabbath was probably the main influence on the songwriting and the style of the band. You try and come up with a riff that's so great that it's just going to, you know, live forever. You know, we took in other influences as well. We were big fans of Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple and AC/DC and Judas Priest.
Right.
But I always think Black Sabbath were the cornerstone and pretty much where that whole, you know, heavy riff idea came
Right.
from. And I always kind of wanted to try and out-heavy Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath, heavy metal, it really is sort of synonymous with British steel, this area particularly.
Yeah, definitely. Judas Priest came right off the back of Black Sabbath, almost taking it, you know, to another level. So to have Judas Priest and Black Sabbath almost on your doorstep, it's got to be, you know, part of the influence, hasn't it?
Growing up as a kid, I remember reading about like heavy metal because it was Iron Butterfly. That was heavy rock. That was always just called heavy rock.
It was called heavy rock.
And it wasn't heavy metal. And no one ever said that.
You know that magazine Sounds? I'm pretty sure there was a piece about Judas Priest and he called them heavy metal.
You're the second guy that said, okay.
And I think it was about 78. So quite late.
Yeah, so it was more of a retrospective thing almost, looking back on it. As I expected, yet another true night of the British metal realm. But sadly, my time in the Midlands is over for now, as I must head for the depths of ye old countryside to meet a genuine metal wizard. Truly a man synonymous with the iconography of British heavy metal itself, the utterly amazing Crusher.